Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Wright with Salford. We're just going to wait a couple minutes to get started here so that everybody can get logged on. Make sure if there's anybody that's just a little bit behind or having technical difficulty, we give them a few minutes. So. All right, we'll get started here. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for taking time out of your schedules. Thank you for everything that you guys do for us as dealers. My name is Chris Wright. I'm product manager for ground engaging tools at Salford Group, which is just a fancy way of saying tillage. I'm really excited to be able to bring you our new tillage product that we're bringing to market. We've been working on this for 2.5+ years now. Dealers have been asking for this product from us, but what we needed to be able to do with this was we need to be able to improve on what's already out there and not just bring a same thing to market. Before I get started, I'm just going to kind of go through the agenda briefly for you, and then we'll go into the video. But I'm going to start off with showing a video. We'll go through a PowerPoint highlighting the machine and the features. The chat will be monitored, but try to ask your questions in the question forum box. Everybody's on mute for this portion of the presentation. We'll take you off mute when we get to the Q&A portion, but if you're on self-mute, you'll have to also unmute yourself for that. After the PowerPoint, we'll have a couple testimonials from a couple of the TMs that have operated the different models. I'll list out where the reference material can be found and when it can be found. We'll do some question and answer where we'll answer the chat questions as well as any questions that anybody wants to ask over the audio. And then we'll let you guys get back to your day. So without any further delay, I'll get started on the video and then we'll roll into the PowerPoint. The Halo is a new platform in Salford Group's family of tillage products. Adding to the strong tillage reputation that Salford has, this frame series is capable of different configurations of ground engaging and finishing tools that will meet the requirements of all producers. From full tillage to vertical tillage and also aerated tillage, the Halo is a frame design that allows for variety. Complete with manageable transport height and a narrow transport width, the Halo is also delivered with minimal dealer setup time. All right. There we go. Oops. There. So The Salford Halo is a new frame platform design that has been created to be able to carry a variety of models of new tillage tools by Salford. Being latecomers to the HSD or high-speed disc market, we decided that we had to bring improvements to the product and still find a way to be innovative with it. The Halo is a platform that uses what has become the traditional HSD or high-speed disc folding system with improvements to the function control of the machine, but also make it so that it can be configured to be more than just a high-speed disc. Based on customer requests and the increased requirement of a flexible tillage tool for an ever-shrinking window of available tillage time, we felt there needs to be a unique machine that can be tailored to specific areas based on the type of tillage needed and the challenges that different regions provided. So this fall, we're introducing two new models of Halo. The Halo high-speed disc, or HSD, with a large cage round bar roller, and the Halo Airway for aeration tillage with a double 14-inch flat bar roller with level linkage. The sizes that are going to be offered of these machines this fall: in the high-speed disc version, there will be a two-piece frames in 20 and 25 feet. The three-piece frames will be 30, 35, and 40. The Halo Airway will have two-piece frames in 20 and 25 feet and three-piece frame in 30 feet. In spring, we're planning to expand that offering a little bit. We'll offer the rubber roller option on the Halo high-speed disc and offer more finishing models across the Halo models as testing continues and market requirements are defined. The Halo platform boasts impressive features: narrow transport width. Two-piece models run around 11 foot 3 inches wide with the rollers raised or retracted. The three-piece models run around 11 feet 11 inches wide with rollers raised or retracted. The transport height is manageable, and you can adjust the transport height by adjusting the rollers, and that'll range anywhere from 12 foot 4 inches to 13 foot 7 inches, depending on the finishing system and what position the rollers are in. And the three-piece models will be between 13.3 and 15.2. The machines ship mostly to completely assembled. Some models require installing the finishing tools, which is just a matter of 3 pins per section. The hydraulics are already plumbed. Most PDIs and unload time will consist of 4 hours or less. Similar to the I-Series, it does have lockouts for the lift frame. However, in the case of the Halo, it's transported in the lowered position, so the lockouts for the lift cylinders are just for maintenance locks. The tongue jack on the two-piece models will be an 8,000-pound manual jack. On the three-piece models, it'll use a hydraulic jack with a manual ball valve. It has constant flow, constant hydraulic wing down pressure circuit for the wings to keep them engaged in the ground in challenging conditions, but it can be run and float in more mellow conditions. The fore aft is left in neutral or with pressure on, and that's protected by an accumulator circuit that acts like a shock absorber. The benefit of this system keeps the machine from doing a waving or a hopping in the field by the fact that there's a delay and a counter to the Coulter torsion suspension loading up and releasing. On competitive machines, when that happens, the machine almost gets into a rhythm of hopping through the field. The accumulator circuit that we've had on our machines prevents that from getting into that sort of circuit, or that sort of that rhythm. It's adjusted with 2 single point depth control locations. The first one is on the lift frame to set the working depth, which is a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you want to set it for 4 inches, you're going to set the depth stop for 4 inches with the tines just touching the ground. The second depth control location is on the rollers for setting the roller pressure, and that's a 2-to-1 ratio to the tires. So if you're going to set the tires for 4 inches of working depth, you're going to set the roller for 2 inches from the valve control. So the first model I'm going to talk about is the Halo HSD, or high-speed disc. It has 2 rows of low concavity blades. Row 1 uses smooth blades to cut into the ground and for sizing residue. Row 2 uses notch blades to pull through soil and debris and keep the flow of trash and soil moving at an optimal place. The blade gangs use 2 different angles, front and rear, and both are compound tipped under at 4 degrees. The front row is open at 14 degrees and fixed. The rear row is open and fixed at 17 degrees. It uses 40mm rubber torsion suspension coulters on the arms, which gives support yet provides obstacle protection. It's 10-inch spacing per row for a net 5-inch machine spacing. The dirt shield's adjustable. It can be slid in or out, ahead or back, based on the requirements of speed and soil type to adjust the dirt flow. The adjustable coulters on the outward throw direction on each end of the machine allow for adjustability of finishing for varying soil types. As you can see, we've got the sizes, the drive interval settings, and the weights of the machine here. And this PowerPoint is part of the handouts of that you can take away on the webinar today. One thing that you're going to always want to make sure that you go over with your customer is the quick start guide. It's very important that for ease of use, the customer knows what the optimal location is for hooking up each hydraulic function, as well as how to properly and safely unfold, fold the machine, as well as the operation of the machine. So to go through the setting a little bit, you're going to set the machine to the ground, make sure it's level front and rear, and then you can adjust your lift frame first for the amount of depth that you want, and then on a 2-to-1 ratio, you can set your roller pressure. On the quick start guide, it is laminated. It's going to be found in the manual canister, and it's going to be something that they can put in the tractor and not have to worry about damaging. And it's a good quick reference for how to operate the machine in the field, as well as optimizing the operation of the machine and troubleshooting should there be any issues arise. So a few slides just to go through here, or a few pictures to go through with you on this slide. On the top left corner, on the right-hand side of that picture, you see your depth setting for the lift frame and the slider. In the background, you can see the pitch indicator. So when you've got your machine level, you're going to want to take note of what your level number is. So in this frame here, we're saying that level's about 7. And that's just going to be your if you accidentally hit the fore aft pitch, that's going to be the number that you want to get it back to try and level things back out. Below that, we've got some handy decals that are help remind the end user which way to adjust the slider, up or down for shallower or deeper. The middle 2 slides just showing you where the roller pressure depth stop indicator is located on the left-hand wing, and an indicator on how to increase or decrease your pressure on which direction you need to go. And then on the far right, the maintenance locks for working on the machine, that they're not transport locks. You want to transport the machine with it completely lowered. So just a few comparisons to do. We've designed a hub with double taper roller bearings. It's a 5-bolt hub, whereas most of the compact discs on the market are using 4-bolt hubs. It is a rebuildable hub, and it is a double taper roller bearing as opposed to an angular contact. It uses 40mm or 1.57-inch rubber torsion suspension, which is fairly common to the market, fairly industry standard. Most of the competition is using a 20 with an option of a 22-inch blade, and more often than not, they're selling them with the 20-inch blade, and it's a 4-bolt. We're using a 5-bolt blade. It's 22-inch blade, and that is our standard. A lot of the competition, again, do require that you operate your machine fore aft in float, causing or creating the hopping effect as it goes through the field and preloads the coulters and releases them. We've designed our machine so that it will run with in neutral or pressurized, and the accumulators help dampen the effect of that hopping. We do have 3 grease points on the machine with rebuildable joints. They're hardened bushings and hardened pins. They don't require a lot of service, but they do give you a long life. A lot of the competition is using maintenance-free poly or a fiber material bushing. Those do wear out and are prone to needing to be replaced every so often. Single point depth control in 2 locations to adjust the rollers and the lift frame independently of each other. What the competition typically uses there is flip stops, which usually entail going around to 4 to 8 cylinders on the machine, and you've got to go and flip them the left side or the right side more or less to counter skewing and things like that. It's a floating dirt shield, which will adjust to field contours and adjusts up and down with no tools required. You can slide it ahead or back to get the desired finish that you're after. Just some comparative frame specs of the 3-piece sizes. Definitely coming in at a narrower transport width than the competition, with otherwise comparable features. We don't have quite as much weight in the machine as far as overall weight, but we've countered that with being able to put our machine in the ground more efficiently based on the hydraulic systems and the blades that we're using. I'm not going to go into comparing every manufacturer, but again, just highlighting some of the key features in the fact of 4-bolt versus 5-bolt hubs and rebuildable versus non-rebuildable, 20-inch blades versus 22-inch blades. Again, the nylon bushings and the multi-location depth control systems that the competition used versus a single point depth control system. Again, coming in at narrower transport widths than what the competition is, so it does transport very nicely and very easily. Again, this will ship almost fully assembled on a detachable double drop trailer and can be pulled off, opened up, and the rollers can be pinned on and PDI done all in 4 hours or less. The next model I'm going to introduce is the Halo Airway. Airway was a company that was bought by Salford about 5 years ago, and we've been working at different times on how we can incorporate the technology of the shatter tine with the cutting and mixing action of the 13 wave I-series blade, and we've come up with the Halo Airway. So the first row is 8-inch forged shatter tines on 10-inch spacing mounted in a helix pattern. The tines have a 2.5-degree lean and an 8-degree twist to fracture, lift, and shift the soil as they pass through it. The second row is 22-inch wavy blades with 13-wave pattern on 10-inch spacing lined up between each row of the shatter tines for a total net spacing of 5 inches. The airway tines will fracture the soil vertically and horizontally, allowing for better water and air infiltration, boosting the soil productivity. This reduces the compaction left by harvest equipment and the weather. The 13-wave blade sizes residue and mixes the soil to enhance breakdown of the residue in fall conditions and help warm the soils in spring conditions. Proven Salford double 14-inch rollers on new level linkage system provide a finishing system that will break up clods and pin residue. The heavy-duty frame along with active wing down pressure circuit ensure efficient ground engagement of the tines. Always run the tines at full penetration and maximize soil fracturing. The gangs are all bolt-in style and easily serviceable. There's no dirt shield as there's no outward throw of soil. And again, the 35 and 40 are coming in spring of 2021, but we're looking at the sizes, the drive interval settings, and the approximate weights of the 20, 25, and 30 right now. Again, always make sure that you get your customers kicked off with the quick start guide. Again, providing the most efficient setup of the machine as far as which SCVs to use in on which function, unfolding and folding it safely, and getting the depth set optimally to get started. You can always make fine-tuning adjustments from there. But again, this is going to be laminated and found in the operator's manual canister. So on the blades, we use the same common hub as we do on the high-speed disc version, 5-bolt bolt pattern, double taper roller bearing with a proprietary seal. On the airway gangs, we use the trunnion bearing. It is a maintenance-free bearing as well, so you don't have a whole lot of greasing to do on the machine as a whole. The shatter tine gangs are on a C-flex spring on the front row, and then we use the 40 millimeter rubber torsion suspension on the rear coulters. The rear blades are 22-inch diameter blades, 13 wave with a 5-bolt hub design. The advantage to having this package on the Halo frame is that it's a compact frame. It's got a short length, narrow transport compared to the competitive style adjustable machines, and adjustability on the front row of 2.5, 5, and 7.5 degrees, and on the rear 0, -1.5, and -3 degrees. Three frame grease points again, single point depth control for the depth as well as for the rollers. Constant wing down pressure circuit to optimally make sure that you're getting full penetration of the tines. You can transfer weight outwards to the wings. 8-inch forged shatter tine with a 2.5 degree lean and an 8 degree twist to fracture the soil as it passes through. And then the level linkage heavy duty double 14-inch rollers for seed bed prep. And just some specs on the models offered, and the number of rows of tines, and the blade quantity, and the transport widths. With that, that is the PowerPoint portion of my presentation. So I would like to, at this point, just check. I'm going to see if there's any no questions at this point. All right. If I can, I'm going to call on Lee Kilpatrick, one of our sales managers, and he's going to introduce a couple of our territory managers.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you, Chris. Well
Thanks,
done. My name is Lee Kilpatrick, and I'm a sales manager here at Salford, and I've got a couple of guests with me today. The first is Kyle Hansen, and Kyle Hansen is a second generation equipment peddler. His company, the Salford Group, covers a large swath of the country. Oregon, Washington, Utah, Wyoming, North and South Dakota, Montana, Minnesota. Welcome, Kyle.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, brother. So got a few questions I want to ask you. Kyle was really like the original tester and has more experience with this platform than really anybody. Kyle, tell the kids in the class the conditions that you've run this tool in.
We started a couple of years ago with it, and really got into it last fall with the prototype machine they sent us. We were kind of like everybody else, historically wet. So last fall we were out there in just pretty much muddy, mucky conditions, running in everything from, wheat stubble, soybean stubble to lots and lots of corn stalks. We've got everything from the Red River Valley gumbo, which is really good, heavy black dirt, to lots of guys that grow some potatoes and run in sand. And we took it out in just about every single condition that we could find. And really, we tried to put it to the test. We'd let other guys run it to see what they think, not tell them how it works, anything like that, and just go out and see what you can do with it.
That's excellent. Was there anything about the setting of the machine or the variety of settings that was helpful in that process of going to all those different places, Kyle?
I think, being, like Chris said before, one of the last guys to the market on a high-speed disc, we kind of thought about a lot of things that the other guys didn't, or we listened to what a lot of the customers said as far as the adjustability and things that we could change. Having the ability to put wing down pressure on it for a year like this when it's dry and hard out. Last year, having the ability to raise that basket off the ground was a necessity, just because it was so wet and we didn't have to go out there and just pack it full of mud and not let the basket actually even work. We just lifted it up a little bit, trickled it on top of the ground, and ran it. The next field we could go in, if it was a little bit drier, we just simply put that basket by sliding the depth indicator back the other way just a little bit. We put it on the ground and let it, do its thing. It's very versatile. It's easy to use. You can see the hydraulic fore and aft indicator from the cab of the tractor. You can see all the other indicators right out of the cab of the tractor. So whoever's running it, if they're looking back, kind of paying attention, and they notice they're coming into a spot that is a little bit stickier, a little bit wet, lift the stuff up out of the way. Or you're coming to a top of a hill where it's very, sandy, and you want to kind of leave it a little bit, rougher, lift it up out of the way. Simple and easy.
That's cool. So you mentioned, the variety of different settings allowed a competitive advantage. I wonder what other competitive advantages you identified as you work with this tool, Kyle.
22-inch disc blades, I think, is a pretty big deal, because we can actually get that machine to go 4.5, sometimes 5 inches in the dirt. For guys out in my area on corn stalks that want to make it black, depth is a big thing. Depth is a perception that they want to see black dirt. Having the concave coulters in the front and the notched in the back to keep everything clean, that is also another big advantage. And, the rebuildable hub costs about $70 for a set of bearings, and doesn't take us very long to switch them. Costs $280 to replace an entire hub from some of the other guys out there. So, just anything to keep us in the field and keep us going. We've only got so much time in the spring and fall.
That's cool. The ability to raise the basket sounds like it was advantageous against plugging, Kyle, from your experience.
Oh, absolutely. Because if you've ever plugged them, it takes a long time. Last year we used a forklift. That's how we got the mud out of them. So just eliminating another problem that guys see, or another thing that makes producers hesitant to buy a piece of equipment, is that they think they'll have to work on it. And being able to lift that basket up took a lot of the hesitancy away from those guys.
That's cool.
And then, like I said, this fall on the active down pressure on the wings, it's so dry and hard that everything else is riding up and out of the ground. We turn the active down pressure on the wings. It's level from one side of the machine all the way to the other. There's no hill and valley. Everything is a nice, smooth, completely cut across finish that we're leaving underneath where you can't see.
Nice. You've shown this to a lot of dealers and a lot of customers. What were the dealers' perception of this machine, Kyle?
The dealership guys really liked it for a few reasons. right now the high-speed disc is kind of what everybody is looking at, so it adds another arrow to their quiver that way. Also helps them out with, it's got a lot less PDI, and it's much easier to order a size, and if it doesn't sell at your dealership, put it on a truck and haul it somewhere else. It just makes the ordering of it that much easier. Guys like the ability to move it around, and it's all easy that way. And it's also, it brings the Salford name with it, so you know that it's built well. It comes with the right components as far as parts, and we've thought about the different things that other people haven't.
Kyle, how did you find that the use of this machine? Was it easy or difficult to use?
First time that we took it out to the field, we didn't really have a quick startup guide. It was just kind of fumbling our way through it. We went out behind a hill away from everybody else and just unfolded it and figured out which lever did what, to be honest. And after we came up with that, and the quick start guide takes about 10 to 15 minutes to get it dialed in, kind of right where a guy wants it. There's enough settings on there that once you set the depth on the machine, once you set the depth on the baskets, you lift you hit two levers, lift the machine up at the end of the field, turn around and keep right on and going. It's pretty simple and easy to set it.
That's very cool. I appreciate you working through the guinea pig stage, the fun times when you're out there.
Okay.
Trying to figure out how to reinvent the wheel. So I got a curveball for you, and it's one that
sure.
A lot of my guys ask me about, and it's that, okay, so Salford has made its name on vertical tillage and the I-Series. How does this fit into the rotation? How do you view it from a sales perspective, Kyle?
From a sales perspective, I view it as it's another machine to sell to a guy who possibly wouldn't buy an independent series from me before, or a vertical tillage machine before, or in a lot of the cases, we've taken these things out to guys and shown them what it's done, and they've said, you know what, this just isn't what we want, and they purchased a 4200 or a 21 or 2200. I think it shows the guys that there's a different machine out there, but also brings them back to some of the stuff that we have built our name on for as many years as we have. They're not for every customer. I mean, that's it's just another tool. It's another thing for guys to buy.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting that you've seen it go both directions.
Yeah, I've seen guys talk themselves into it and talk themselves out of it all in the same day.
Yep. That's a cool testimony. Anything else you would add to it, Kyle? Anything I missed?
It's very fun to demo to guys. To take it out, pulls really, really nice. The smaller ones behind a pickup, get it out in the field. It's simple and easy to set, and you can show it off, and it gives you something to talk to your customer about. That's kind of why I'm glad we built it, because it creates a buzz. It gives us somewhere to start. And if it's for that guy, well, great. If not, we'll show them something else, and just keeps you in front of them, keeps you in front of your customer.
That's good stuff, brother. Thank you for your time. Thanks for what you did here.
You betcha. Thank you.
All right, so the second guy that I want to introduce you to has been a territory manager at Salford for 10 years. So he's been here through all of the acquisitions and lots of neat changes from small to big. He's a survivor and an all-around good dude. Welcome, Dave Dunkelman.
Hey, Lee. Thanks for having me.
Sure, brother. Appreciate you being here. So tell us all about the conditions. Now, Dave has run the Halo Airway version. Kyle's testimony was, for the HSD. So I'm going to get Dave to share with us a little bit about the Airway version. Dave, what kind of conditions did you run in, man?
Well, starting off, the guys that have run this have been CCT customers, past Airway customers and current Airway customers. This tool is totally different than the CCT. We still build the CCT. So I guess a word of advice is, if you're going to run this tool with a current CCT customer, make sure you have this conversation about the differences. My experience was somewhat different from their opinions because they were comparing it to the CCT. So the early conditions when I did finally get this machine, it was late spring. We were able to get it into bean stubble that was going back to beans. The ground was pretty hard. But where we ran, this was 20 years of no-till. So when the emergence, after we planted, I went back to look at it, and the beans in the field where we ran emerged earlier and more evenly than the others. We got some rain and that ground took the water in, whereas the no-till ground, there was lots of runoff. In the summer, we ran in some wheat stubble. It was hard as hell. The wings struggled a little bit, but when you got that option of the active, down pressure on the wings, that was nice. You didn't have to worry then. You could make that adjustment on the go. And, where some other tools were struggling to stay in the ground. But contrast to those struggles a little bit, in the recent demo we did, it's been running great this fall. So I mean, looking forward to finally getting into some corn stalks here real soon.
Yeah, there will be a number of corn stalks in your territory very soon. What are your observations or comments on this tool, Dave?
To me, first thing, and to the customers and dealers so far that have seen it, transport is stellar. Narrow transport is such a big deal in our part of the world, and it's only going to continue to force us to be narrow. So that's just great. The roller and colder adjustments, are very easy on this machine to change your angle. The down pressure on the wings just makes the easiest machine to level so far. The double 14 baskets are excellent finishing tool on the back of this machine. They do a great job. To me, the colders, they're there, they serve their purpose. They do, at first I thought maybe they don't do a lot of work, but they do what I have felt that the airway has needed, to kind of fill in, to keep it from being rough, when you're running across it with the planter, things like that. So I have, in the conditions so far that I've seen, 5 degrees on the tines and a -3 on the colders seem to be really good in my early demos. And then making it more aggressive, 7 degrees on the tines and -3 on the colders seem to be good in the late demos. So the nice thing is, with the changing conditions and different type of residue that we're dealing with, we can make these changes to the tines and to the blades. It's just wonderful. 8 mile an hour was kind of a sweet spot that a lot of my guys have, seemed to like, that are traditional airway type guys. I have had some guys that are more, one I-Series customer wanted to run it faster, and he did. And got along just fine. It's just the airway customers really like that 8 mile an hour. So you just got to keep in mind, what it's doing up top is completely different than what's happening below, and what's happening below is really nicely.
That's interesting, Dave. I wonder if you could speak to the competitive advantages of this tool and maybe expand on that last statement you made.
Well, and that's why I said this puts this tool in a segment of its own. I don't feel like there's a competitor out there for this tool, and that's what's great about it. And so this brings back the shatter time technology to the forefront, Lee. The increase in air and water uptake is significant with this style machine compared to a disc style machine, on a gang angle, things like that. So we need to, with the shatter time technology, get back to preaching, what is old is new again, and take advantage of this, because it's something, farmers can understand when you talk about, increase in air and water, uptake.
I think the most interesting thing to me and your testimony is the early emergence and the fact that the ground you ran on held water in that bean ground. I find that fascinating.
That's huge, and that's something, you know, guys talk about every day is, you know, the having their crop emerge, you know, within hours of other seeds. I mean, it's huge for the end result.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool, Dave. Anything else you would throw in? Any other comments?
No, I just think that the whole Halo platform, from what I see so far and what the farmers and dealers have been asking for, this just gives us an opportunity with 2 new style tools that can add to our arsenal, like Kyle was saying. I mean, with the I series, been so successful with those in my territory over the years, but we have areas where guys want to see that dirt. They want it. They want that black look. And this will give us something. You know, we've been doing it with the 4200 and 5200, but as you get in those tools that are larger than 20 feet, you know, the transport can be an issue. And this will just give us something that'll even do more or less than those tools. So it just fits in our arsenal really well.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you both for being here and sharing your experiences with this tool. It's huge to us all. Chris, I'll turn it back to you, brother.
Well, thank you very much, Lee. Thank you, Dave, and Kyle too. That was fantastic, and I appreciate the time that you guys have put into this project. Just before we get into any questions and answers, I just wanted to list out what reference material we've got available, and go through a little bit of that so you guys know where to find it and when you can find it. So there's a product marketing bulletin that'll be available soon on the portal. It has been released to the territory sales managers, so feel free to dial up your territory sales manager and ask for it if you can't find it. And then the operators in the assembly and parts manual are available now on the portal. So is the quick start guide for both machines. They're available on the portal. You can contact your territory sales manager for recommended dealer part stocking lists. Probably towards the middle end of next week, you'll be able to find the Halo on the website with pictures and video and more of the highlights and features and benefits about the machine at that time. The week of the 19th is when we're going to start publicly promoting it as a company, and we would ask that as dealers you'd wait until we start publicly announcing it before you guys start doing e-blasts or anything like that. But at that time, feel free to contact our marketing department and ask for any materials that they can help you for promotion. The price pages will be available on the dealer portal very shortly if they aren't already. Again, just like the product marketing bulletin, if you want to get pricing one of these machines, then you can contact your territory sales manager and they have pricing for them. As you know, it's the time of year where we'll have our EOP rolling out, so the EOP will apply on these machines immediately. There's no point in delaying it on these machines. So with that being said, I'd like to invite any questions that anybody might have. You can type them into the question box. Tara's going to take everybody off of mute now. If you're on self-mute, you will need to unmute to be able to ask your questions. So does anybody have any questions? Thought I saw somebody had a hand raised. Thought I saw that. Maybe not.
Hey, Chris, could you tell us, did you go into detail what that shatter time is going to do for us on that? Do you think it's going to, if you're operating at optimal speed, are we going to see fracturing all the way across from time to time?
Absolutely. The shatter tine, as it goes into the ground with the lean and the twist that it's got, if you look down the roller from the side, it's got a helix to it, and what that does is the leading tine starts the fracturing process for the next tine that's going to hit just after it. So as it goes through the ground, it's fracturing the soil both vertically and horizontally, and then the rows behind with the blades are going to come in and help start mixing some of that loosened soil. But what it does is opens up the soil profile without completely obliterating it and causing it to wash away in a heavy rain. But it opens it up so that it's got more air and water holding capacity.
Hey, Dave, I was just curious, any of your customers that were first-time users, what did they think about the compaction relief of it?
Oh, they thought it was excellent, and you really noticed it, you know, when it was drier conditions, of course, you know how that works with a ripper or anything you're doing, or with our Coiltech colders, you know, you get that fracture effect. And yeah, we were getting complete fracture clear across in the conditions that we've had so far. It's really opening some eyes.
With the double rolling basket, what were their opinions on the finish?
Excellent finish. Really like that a lot compared to like just a big, you know, cage roller that might be on, you know, because you don't have as much loose dirt or clumpy, you know, conditions like you would behind of a disc style machine or something. So the double baskets just give you a very nice finish for planting. The guys that planted behind it this spring really liked it.
That was going to be my next question. Was it enough of a finish that they were planting right behind this tool for you this spring?
Yes, that wasn't a problem at all. One pass and we were doing, you know, just fine. And where we played and went 2 passes, of course, it made it like a sandbox. It was almost, you know, it was too much for sure, especially if you were in highly erodible ground. So, I mean, you can really loosen it up, you know, really good if you want, you know, if you want to make another pass. But no, the single pass, like I said, we're at that 5 degrees on the tines and a -3 on the colders, and we got a beautiful finish.
Just based on your experience, what do you think about this tool compared to like a conventional chisel plow?
My thoughts are, you know, and what other guys I've talked to, there's so many guys getting away from the horsepower eating deep tillage practice if they can, and want to cover more acres per hour and still just take care of that, you know, shallow compaction layer. They're not as concerned about the 10, 12, 14-inch zone that they were years ago when they were pulling a moldboard plow. And they're just doing so much a better job with flotation on their tractors and combines, grain carts, things like that, that they just need tools that can, you know, get that fracture down, you know, 4, 6 inches, you know, whatever they're looking for. And, you know, that's something we've proven for years with the Coiltech holders on the I-Series, and having this tine is just that much better. You're making it that much more available for the air and water uptake.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate all the information. I know I'm extremely excited about it. I know my several customers in the area are super tickled. We can't wait to get our demo units in the field and get to work with it. And Chris, thank you guys for all your hard work.
Not a problem. Thanks for the good questions, Keith. Really appreciate that. All right, I don't want to keep anybody. And what I will say is that you know, if you want to ask your questions offline or something like that, please feel free, contact your territory sales manager, contact the office. You're welcome to ask for me. No, we really appreciate all of our dealers working as hard as they do for us. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your schedules today. Leave it open for just a couple more seconds in case somebody's got a question, but otherwise, I'll let you guys get about your day.
No question. Just wanted to say thank you guys very much. It was a very learning experience. It was a good presentation.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll review it further with Alf. He's our TM up here in Canada, Saskatchewan here. So we look forward to sitting down with him and talking a little bit more about it.
Awesome.
Thank you
very much, Greg.
Yeah, thanks guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.